Welcome to Laguna Seca in sunny California, here where we have Void on the pole with MBR, Eat My Dust, Slug, Captain, and Brando right behind them. The rest of the field set by qualifying at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Today is a sprint race, so there is a longer stint. It's nearly an hour long, and then the shorter stint that is only 30 minutes. At the end of the first stint, the top 12 finishers are inverted. So if you place 12th in the first stint, you start first in the last. Let's head on down now to the front stretch where we are about to go to green flag. Void is going to lead us off of the final corner. On the outside is NBR, and we are green flag here at Laguna Seca. Laguna Seca, constructed in 1957, has seen a couple of revisions. The initial corner here, this beautiful hairpin, the Andretti hairpin, takes you sweeping into turn 3 through into a much faster turn 4 as Void takes the lead, holds it over Eat My Dust, who has passed MBR at this point. Here, the racers will come up into turn 5. Sharp elevation change going uphill, which leads us into the kink. It's turn 6. This is where we'll probably see a lot of incidents today. Void goes through there beautifully, and now one of the most iconic turns in all of motorsports, the corkscrew. At the end of the corkscrew, they come on down through a sweeping left-hander, which goes into a high-banked turn 10. So you preserve your speed, and then hard braking zone, turn 11, we're back onto the front stretch. Your top 4 after the first lap: Void, Eat My Dust, MBR, and Slug. Now we're going to go through the rest of the highlights here. Earlier on lap 1, Captain CK on the outside here just pushes it a little too wide, and he cannot keep it straight. Another turn 1 incident for Captain, unfortunately, here. A bit later in the lap, Artups locks him up going into the corkscrew, just barely misses. I believe that was Rocky. And then at the end of lap 1, here you see Call Me Jason locks him up a little bit in the last corner, and Lieutenant Dan just plows into him. They both go off the track. This would be the start of an unfortunate day for Dan. On lap 2, here we have Crazy Sheep trailing Fuzzy Tacos, and coming out of turn 3, just gets a little loose into the tire barrier. Unfortunate start to the race for Crazy Sheep, but not too much damage done there. Here we have Urko going through the kink, one of the kink's first victims of the day, off into that sand trap. Easy enough to get back onto the track from there, though. A little bit later, this is lap 4, Rocky saves it coming out of the kink, but unfortunately he would lose control there just 3 laps later. Now we're going to jump ahead a bit. This is lap 10. This is the battle for second between MBR, Eat My Dust, and Slug. You have MBR in the middle there in the BMW, surrounded by the 2 Corvettes. And here you have Eat My Dust overcooking it a little into the corkscrew, allowing MBR by. So that's MBR up into second place. Coming through turn 10, it looks like Eat My Dust has a solid lead, but Slug gets a good run out of the corner and goes up and nearly doors Eat My Dust on the dive, manages to secure 3rd position. Now we're going to go to lap 12, and AJ with a huge dive on Dan here, and just more damage done to that Ferrari that Dan is driving. Quite a dive by AJ there. We're going to go to lap 13 here. The battle for 3rd continues. Eat My Dust finds his way back inside of Slug and manages to pass around the Andretti hairpin in turn 2. And he holds on to that position. Lap 14, here we have Lieutenant Dan again, his third incident of the race. He's going to go a bit wide on turn 5, and that's it. He is off track. On lap 15, Orbits just puts a tire off track, and that's it. Into the tire barrier hard. That's going to do some damage. Lap 16, this is the battle for third place here. And Nickname is going to slide on past Slug. Lap 21, back to AJ. Coming around turn 5, and he dips a tire off track, and he comes to a stop on the racing surface. You see Captain CK there among one of many who has to dodge him. And very close call. Speaking of close calls, this is a view from Lieutenant Dan. That's Orbits coming off track. He comes back on. That's a brown pants moment right there for Dan. Very close call. Would have been his 4th major incident of the day. Lap 35, Nicolator running in the 7th position with time about to expire in the heat, and he just goes off at the kink. Manages to get back on. Lap 36, coming around to get the white flag. Void is in the lead. MBR has worked his way up right behind him in that BMW. Going through the corkscrew, MBR is looking for anywhere that he can to pass. Very tight battle. Jumping ahead 1 lap, MBR still hasn't gotten by him. It is white flag. This time around is the checker for the heat. Going back through the corkscrew. Get an onboard look from MBR right here as he tries to hunt down Void through these final couple of corners. Going through corner 9 up to turn 10. High banking, you can overcook it a little. It's pretty forgiving. Now he's going to try and find a line on turn 11. Maybe go outside with the crossover as Void defends his line, but he's not going to find it. Void comes off the final corner and wins the first stint here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Stint number 1. Void places first. MBR with a very close 2nd place. Eat My Dust 3rd. Slug 4th. Brando 5th. Nickname, Nicolator, Bay, Dick, Fuzzy. Remember, the top 12 are the inverted starting positions for the next stint. So Void will be starting 12th. MBR 11th. Eat My Dust 10th, and so on. Captain CK, Call Me Jason, round out that top 12. Then it goes Dan, AJ, Orbits, Bot, Urko, Sheep, Rocky, and Bob. Those drivers from 13th on back are going to find a harder time breaking up into that top 12 because you're going to have the faster cars starting in 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th. And so it's going to be more difficult for them. And you see there B, Star Tups, Drunk, and Dale round out the 24-car field for the first stint. So we're going to jump into the second stint here, the finale. 30 minutes of fast racing, and Call Me Jason and Captain lead us to the green flag. Immediate trouble. Dick gets spun around by Fuzzy, and the carnage continues here as Jason goes off. Captain follows him off. There's contact. You see both the Cali Racing Ferraris off to the side there, barely avoiding them. We're going to get another look at this absolute carnage. So first we're going to look, you see Fuzzy is on the left side, and they go 3 wide, Captain's on the outside, and Dick may have just not realized he was there. Cuts across, Fuzzy didn't have any room, and that was it. Another look from the top. So there, Dick goes around, and then Jason and Captain both just go way too hard into the Andretti hairpin. Going into turn 3, just after this incident, Orbits clips Dan, and his horrible day continues as he collects Urko and Rocky there. We're going to go on board here with Bot, who had an up-close and personal front row seat to that wreck. But carnage to the first 3 corners of the track. Right here, later in the lap, oh, AJ and Void through the kink side by side. That is ballsy. They managed to pull it off. And then Void stays on the outside, comes around the corkscrew, and secures the position. Next lap, lap number 2. That is another unfortunate incident for Dan as Dick loses it in front of him. Even more damage to that Ferrari. Same lap. This is the battle for the lead. Fuzzy, Slug. Slug goes up the left side as they come up into the corkscrew, and he finishes the pass before reaching the corkscrew. Very critical move there, and he is ahead into the lead. Now, we're going to go up to lap number 6. This is just a great battle, frankly. These are cars from 2nd position all the way back to 7th. You have Fuzzy, you have Nickname, Brando, Eat My Dust, MBR, and Void all in a row. And this is some tight battling right here. Very clean racing through this lap and the previous ones, and a couple ahead. You see Brando locking up his tires into the final corner, which gives Eat My Dust a window, but they all fall into line there eventually. Next lap, Brando goes off track, and Void just barely avoids him. However, later in the lap, he does not avoid him here. Brando is still ahead of Void. Going through turn 10, Void's looking for a pass, going into the final corner, and Brando closes the door, but Void is there. And his teammate, Nicolator, and AJ both have to brake hard. Here's a view from AJ. Hard on the brakes. Very close to being a multi-car pileup, but great awareness by Nick and AJ. Now you're looking at the corkscrew. There goes the leader Slug. If you look at the top of your screen, Fuzzy Tacos gets turned by Nickname, and the carnage begins. Eat My Dust spins around trying to avoid them. Then, as Nick comes back onto the track, he collects MBR and Void, creating a 5-car incident in the corkscrew. Complete chaos. We're going to go on board with Brando as he goes through this. Oh, there goes Eat My Dust. And oh, here comes MBR back onto the track. And again, we're going to go to Bot, who came into the tail end of this wreck. You see Eat My Dust backing up back onto the racing surface, and just barely Bot misses him. Could have been a 6-car pileup instead of a 5-car. Now, after this wreck, MBR got back on the track, came down into turn 9, and just spun it around. May have had some damage, but 2 incidents in a row there for MBR. A little bit later, Brando, a little push to pass on Fuzzy, and he goes off track. That was for 2nd place. That puts Brando and Nick, the 2 Cali Racing Ferraris, into the top 3. Now a battle here where you have Eat My Dust passing Lieutenant Dan. Dale's slow on the left side. Dan punts Eat My Dust off, and it collects Bob Nova. And that is a huge wreck. Another incident for Dan. He rejoins the track. Maybe he doesn't realize Dale is here. Comes all the way across and destroys what is left of his car. He has to retire. Here, Bob just goes for a wild ride. I believe that was the battle for 9th at the time. And just goes into the tire barrier. That was on lap 11. Now, halfway through the heat, Slug, whoa, going a little off. Right at this point right here, he has nearly a 20-second lead. That could have been disastrous. But we're going to sort of give you perspective on just how big a 20-second lead is here. He has a little bit of damage to that right front, but otherwise looking okay. Here you have 2nd place Brando, who has not even gotten to the corkscrew yet. And at this point, Slug is going into turn 10, approaching turn 11. Huge, huge lead. A little bit later in the race, lap 22, 1 lap before the white flag, Bot's in 7th place, goes off but manages to hold the position. And now, here we are, it's white flag, coming around to the checkered. It's Slug in the lead. He still has nearly a 20-second lead over Brando and Nicolator. Coming into the corkscrew now. That car ahead of him is a lap down as captain. Going on board through the corkscrew. Around into turn number 9. Just 2 turns away from winning the 2nd stint at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. J2ICS was better when nobody gave a shit. Grand Prix Slugnificent comes off the final corner and wins the 2nd stint of the sprint race. That is Yellow Flag Motorsports' first win of the season. Here you have the two Cali Racing Ferraris coming up to take the last two podium spots for this stint. That is Brando in second and Nicolator in third. Well, that is pretty much it. The two stints are done. Slug comes out the winner of the second one, and I believe the overall winner of both of them, placing fourth in the first and first in the second, collecting the most points from this weekend. Here are the final results from the second stint. Slug, Nick, Brando, AJ. Fuzzy still finishes fifth. Void manages to get to sixth despite being involved in that corkscrew incident. Then you have Bot, who started 16th in this stint and just avoided incidents to get to seventh. Then you have Eat My Dust, Call Me Jason, who started on the pole for this stint. In 11th is Orko, then MBR, Rocky, Beast, Bob, Captain, Artups, Fairy, Dale, and Platypus. And then as we go on to the last four, Dan, unfortunately, terrible finishes in both stints after a great showing in the first race at Nürburgring. An unfortunate day here. Well, that'll pretty much do it from WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. An exciting race weekend. The sprint race format delivered the excitement as promised with the inverted field. Next week's race is sure to be just as exciting, a high-speed rumble through Barcelona's historic layout. We will see you there.
So good evening, everyone. From the 50 Ferrari, welcome to Laguna Seca for the J2I Was Better When No One Give a Shit Grand Prix. Track temperature at least 39 degrees, and we expect partly cloudy skies for the duration of the race. Please remain seated with seatbelts fastened, as we expect moderate to severe turbulence as we reach halfway through the lap to the corkscrew section. Otherwise, we expect smooth racing, and thank you for choosing J2I for your racing needs. Have a good one.
Yes. Amazing. That was amazing.